Make it so.
I'm not sure I have a specific recommendation.
What is going on here, number one? Engage!
I'm not sure I have a specific recommendation.
Slow to impulse speed.
Stay calm, everyone. What is going on here, number one?
I'm not sure I have a specific recommendation.
Strange.
I'm not sure I have a specific recommendation.
I shouldn't be so confident.
I'm picking up an unusual disturbance in the nearby quadrant.
Stay calm, everyone.
I shouldn't be so confident.
Engage! On screen.
What the hell is going on?
I'm not sure I have a specific recommendation.
Strange. Make it so.
I don't know.
No response, sir.
Enlarge and identify.
In my opinion, sir, they're gibberish.
I'm picking up an unusual disturbance in the nearby quadrant.
Engage. Move to intercept.
I shouldn't be so confident. Slow to impulse speed.
I would rather outthink them than outfight them.
Slow to impulse speed.
Stay calm, everyone.
I shouldn't be so confident.
Let's investigate. Not good enough, damn it! Not good enough! Engage. Let's investigate.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Coming to you live in Technicolor from the beautiful Hollywood Hills, California. The show where the total retail price of their advice is $0. This is Timelines Talk. featuring guest stars. The fact of the matter is, oh my, it stars and garters. Also featuring, more like Command Dip Suck, look out, it's Automaton 2000. And now, there's no way he gets this intro right. Here's your host, Captain Idol.
Yes, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the premium #1 exclusive talk show for all things Star Trek Timelines. I am your host, Captain Idol. I am joined by Monsieur Stars and Garters, and Automaton 2000 is out for the week. Stars, why is Auto not here this week?
From what I understand, he's working his way through some plasma manifolds and through some like the guts and bowels of this mobile game that we apparently play to get all of those tiny little like chronotons and stuff you get from tanking your shuttles. So he's doing God's work. Yeah,
he's
yeah.
Literally scraping them off the side of the Jeffries tube to get them all in.
But there are different ways to Shakari, and we have to respect them all. But he's with us in spirit. He's in our intro, and we just have to think of him, and he'll be in our hearts, like all of the like Spock. Just think of him as dead Spock.
As I said before, in a couple of areas, like when we said, "Oh yeah, Auto's not joining," because it should be like whenever Auto's not here, everyone should be saying, "Where's Auto?" As in proper Poochie, Itchy and Scratchy style. No, right. Anyway, move on. Yes, this week we'll be talking about various things.
This is a Star Trek show, not a Simpsons show.
Sorry, that is another time. That's for
it's for part 2 of our Simpsons tiering show. Where don't give that away. That's one of our best segments.
Right, rewind. We'll start again. Anyway, welcome to the show.
Yeah.
This week we'll be talking about the lack of straight drops. We'll be talking about the not really a lot this week, to be honest, but we've got Sorella, we've got Mike Burnham and the hybrid event. We're going to be talking about Polaric Janeway, a few other things, and might just dabble into chat about the Klingon collection and a few other bits. First of all, this week, congratulations. Because it's a faction event, we are apparently legally obliged to say the winner for some reason. I don't know who decided that, but it's in our contracts. The winner of this week's faction event is, of course, it's Mechalobe again. So congratulations to you. I hope you enjoy your 5 Kevin Uxbridges. You'll be one of the few who do.
Enjoy him before he has his heart attack.
He does, before he's, yes. With his very low sec proficiency.
Hey man, you wipe out an entire race. That's not sick. That's not. I don't know what you're talking about right there.
No, that's apparently it's diplomacy. If you got a chance, head on over to the forum. Shiaporn, who did the very good Pullin' Packs Again song he did for us a little while back, has actually come up with the Offerwall song sung to the theme of Offerwall. We're not going to play it here because last time we did, we actually got a copyright strike. So we're going to try and avoid that. But I will put the link in the description of this YouTube video, and I'll pass it on chat in a moment when I get a second. But it's absolutely fantastic.
You should, because I'm sampled in that, and I am so proud. I never thought I'd get sampled for anything. So God bless that man. He's doing amazing things.
I'll go find it in a minute. But the fact he came up with it literally the next day is inspired, and it is nothing short of genius. It's fantastic, and it's all in good humor. It's a bit of good taste, and it's funny.
Absolutely, yeah. And I guess the thing is, like, I think Wonderwall is one of those songs that you can endlessly riff on, and everyone will be like, "Yeah, that's alright." No one's like, "You're not taking the integrity of the song seriously." It's like, come on, man. It's always it's fine.
Here we go, right. I'm just going to pop that into chat now, and I'll pop it in the YouTube description. But everyone go and don't have a listen to it now. Watch the show first, and then go watch it. Damn it, I've given the game away now.
You keep on giving them reasons not to tune in. What is going on, man?
I don't know. I'm nervous without Auto. I need that sort of I need that backup roll.
The American bombacity to push
you
those forward.
Yeah. Glasses, yeah. Okay, so
and the eagles flying overhead.
Straight drops. They are finally gone. Announced last week, or the week before last by Benjamin himself. Straight drops are now no longer happening in premium pulls. So whenever you pull a premium from a pack or from just the portal, if you're doing that like a madman, you will no longer get the instant straight drop purple that happens sometimes, not all the times. What happens now is it'll either be a behold straight away, or it'll be like it was before, a set of pulls and then beholds at the end. the real nice part about this now is because for veteran players, sort of like us two, who've got pretty much tons of the super rare crews, like, oh great, we get to choose our pain, you know, which honor do I want? Okay, right, I'm gonna have XX or X. The advantage of actually that now not being a straight drop is it can also be a gold on that first pull, and I did 35 pulls as part of the deal that came up, and I got my fair share of golds on that first pull. So in a way, if you could look at it in a twisted sort of way, it kind of ups the amount of golds you get. It's still the same rate of getting a gold, but I think, like we were talking earlier about this, because you're not now guaranteed a purple on that first slot, it just sort of ups the ante just a little bit more.
Yeah, we were sort of running like, does this mean they have to technically change the odds of, because if you actually hit the information pane on the premium portals, they tell you the various different odds of getting a gold and a purple in your pack, and it's always, you're guaranteed to get a purple always. But it's like, no, it's not, it doesn't technically increase your gold rate, it just means that a gold can drop more frequently, which is not the same thing. No one wants to say, yes, you'll get more gold, because then someone's going to have their 100-pack tear where they get nothing, and be like, well...
You lied to us!
And I'll be like, I didn't know I was lying! I was just hysterically wrong, as YouTubers often are.
You were averagely wrong.
So yeah, is that the opposite of technically correct?
Yeah,
best kind of correct. Averagely wrong.
So yeah, it's a little nice thing. I think it's something that's been requested in the game for a long, long time. Definitely killer straight drops has put people off pulling packs for a long time. So if you're hoarding them, or if you're sort of not aware of this announcement, then you've got a big stack. Now is the time to pull them. There was a little hiccup when it first launched where people weren't getting anything, but I think they solved that fairly quickly.
Yes, I don't know if they've announced compensation for that yet, because that's a bit of an awkward one.
I think Shan did say something along the lines of they will be looking into the people that didn't get anything and reimbursing them accordingly. So I think there is, because you can't have that sign on the wall that says incidents, days without incident at Wicked Realm Games without them going right back to zero.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a weird last month or so, because we there's a lot to like about the changes they brought to the game. This is just one of the new little things they've added for board veterans, as you say. But there has been a sort of increased frequency of little fucky wucky moments. Nothing that's going to break the game, but just sort of that is an interesting way that you have chosen to launch that. And I can only assume that it's because they have all hands behind to the pumps on the new feature, which is coming soon. So I'm hoping that we'll see some of the either that or the person who replaced Ben as QA is just not as good.
Well,
I hope that's not the case, because I hate to shit on someone I don't know.
Who can compare, really?
It's true.
When one
it's
person
true.
goes
He's just
up,
so.
Leaves a hole, man.
He's just such a handsome scoundrel.
Easy now.
Now, I will say before we continue on this point, you say, oh, this is for board veterans. I believe you officially hit board veteran status, didn't you, with this? Because you had your first...
I did, and I forgot to screenshot it. I have had my very first all-fused Begold pull, and I literally cried in anguish. It's the first time it's ever happened. It was Bones McCoy. There's two other people. I forget who they were, but I took Bones. But it's just no, it's finally happened. It's all 3 5 for 5s. So,
yeah, and that's how you know.
Yeah, when you've hit that moment, game over, man. That's it. Every pull is a risk.
Yeah. It is true, because it's as you go along, it's oh, my first gold, my 10th gold or whatever, and then you start getting into the point where it's I could hit an all throws, and then it's unless it's a mobile dock, in which case, yay, fusion, then it's that's a bad time. And it's speaking personally, there are very few cards that I would personally dupe. I don't know about you.
No, I tend not to dupe. The only dupe I do have is Reverend Floxus, because I cited him before the campaigns. I was right, okay, I guess I will have a 4 or 5, but if he wasn't Command Med, I would have chucked him. But
yeah,
I mean, I've got 91 immortalized goals. I think there are something like 600 legendaries. I've still got the odds in my favor, so that was quite unlucky to get that. I nearly had one on another pull, which was 2 5/5s and then a 3 of 5 mirror Sulu. So I was just like, yes, Sulu, I'll take Sulu. I'm happy.
That's progress toward a collection. You saved me from shitting myself, good sir. And he's like, you're welcome.
That's when you want that crap card, though. When you want that collection filler is the best option in a bad behold, or bad behold. You know, that's when you want it.
Yeah. Well, it's sort of like it's interesting that they've been adding all these collections because even though they're small essential increases to your stats, or even if they're just vanities, they really do help with bad beholds because you have that thing in your mind of, hey, at least they add to the collection, at least they put me a little bit closer. Everyone is 1 star closer towards completion. Yep. Whereas before, if you had to take someone like Mirasulu, you would have been like, well, I guess he'll be good for the Sulu events we don't get.
Yeah.
Whereas now you can at least be like, it's +1 to what that, which is that's why we enjoy collections so much.
I sight my crew 1/4 mile at a time.
All right, moving swiftly on.
I thought we'd mention very quickly. I'll say very quickly. So there's a little bit of a strange thing that happened as well. Another update was the changes to captain level up rewards and credits purchased with dilithium. They've changed it to be a bit more expensive, quite a lot more expensive, in fact. It's gone from, and I'm just looking at it here, you can get 1 pull of 50,000 credits for 50 dilithium. Now it's 1 pull of 10 dilithium, but only 15,000, and then it escalates a bit more dramatically from there. Oh no, sorry, it was the other way round. One was 10 dilithium, 50,000. Anyway. The fact of it, nearly said fact of the matter, but how much you influenced me.
I've been watching my words, now you have to watch yours. The brain ones have started.
Who's buying credits with dilithium? Like
maniacs.
If you're new to the game and you don't know much of the mechanics, and you might go, "Oh yeah, I'm doing that," but at a certain point you kind of go, "Actually, no, that was a really stupid thing." So I was kind of positing the idea to some other people, saying, "I wonder if this is going to be related to the Q1 feature." Like they've released this change quite soon to what's coming up in February at some point, sort of. I think it said mid-Feb-ish. No commitment to a date yet. So, you know, I can think of no other reason because there's never been anything in the community about purchasing credit or anything else with dilithium, anything like scams. Or
well, yeah, because when you think about it, credits are a bit of they're kind of useless. All they do is allow you to replicate shit. You can do credit pools, which have the worst chance of getting you anything worthwhile unless you really, really love your grades. And they're for building stuff. That's about it. You don't need them for anything else. So if they're going to give us something more to do with that currency, that's great. The fact that they are ramping up the cost makes me wonder just how much of this currency we're going to have to require. But to be fair, I don't know, whatever this Q1 feature is, I hope it's adequately balanced, because the one fear I do have about any new feature being added to a game that is 5 years old is that it is tailored too much toward bored veterans like us. Whereas I would want any new feature to be yes, it would be easier for people who are further along Q and I, but I would want it to be accessible straight out of the gate. I know that they lock Gauntlet until what level 10 or whatever, but I feel like that's fine. But if this was yes, you can start it, but it's completely useless to you unless you have oodles of credits pouring out of your ears, I think that'd be a bit of annoyance. So we'll have to see how it plays out.
Yeah, it's definitely. I can only imagine that there's going to be something quite expensive in there. And bearing in mind, a lot of people you've got in the millions of credits. I don't even look at them, and you look down and go, oh, I've got 20 million credits. Okay, I'll do a few credit pulls. So I'm now half wondering, because of this change, to say right, maybe I should start saving them, because if this is going to be somewhat expensive, Wicked Realm Games have got to know that people stockpile credits, not because they're hoarding them, just because they've got nothing really to spend them on apart from replications or just splurging them on the store. I mean, I know if there's a few players who do a lot of replications who are short, and that's just a different play style. That's how some people prefer, rather than spending crons, they'll spend replications. But I'm thinking, looking at this, I'm thinking maybe this might be the time to start. As much as they don't want us to hoard, maybe we should start hoarding this kind of stuff. Because,
well, the problem is the moment you introduce any kind of currency and then you give us something that's worthwhile using that currency for, of course, hoarding becomes a part of the equation. Honor obviously hits that the most, but it's a case of people do the same thing with dilithium unless they're maniacs like Auto. It's a case of you always wait until the 6-pack you really want, or the event pack that would actually hit all of your roster needs perfectly comes along. You don't just spend it on premium pulls or whatever 6-pack is there. You need to actually ration it out, because otherwise you'll just throwing essentially money away endlessly. So it's not so much. It's that conversation of when does it become hoarding and when is it just like careful resource management. That's the nice way of putting it.
Yes, because you never know when you've just done a 100 or 200 pack pull stream that they're going to change how the packs work. So,
look, I don't know if you heard, but there was a 35 pack deal that was, I am told, great value. You could get some crew. I'm told
you could get some crew.
I'm told.
Some crew.
You could get some
or
crew.
Not. Up to you.
A crew of some description. Some of them. But yeah, it was also interesting because they've got this talk about adding a new currency right on the heels of their sort of Christmas experiment of adding new tiers in the campaigns going up to 120, which was apparently just a one-off, but maybe not. And there was also Ben's talk about changing event restructuring during the Q&A. So if there is a new currency and we're going to need a lot of it, it's possible that slotting it into event rewards and into campaigns would be an easy way of being like, look, this is why you should buy the campaign that features Lenara Khan and or similar cards that you love and definitely haven't frozen.
So are you saying we're going to be getting a lot more worse crew in the campaigns? Is this your official...
Well,
I mean,
look, I was out of the game for like 2 or 3 months, right? And when I came back, I was like, okay, what did I miss? And I was like, I missed Groom Wolf. That's awful. That was the one I was saddest about. But when I looked at the campaigns, it was like Tourist Tucker and Dr. Chaotica and I think Lenara Khan. And I was like, right, so I haven't missed anything. I haven't missed anything.
No. Those top 30 Voyagers, no, they're still there. In fact, I think when you came back was when they started doing the power creep with, the Determined Paris and people like that. So you
right, yeah, that's entirely possible. Yeah, well, I think they've done a pretty decent job of balancing the Voyagers that they've thrown in. Like we had like High Roller Cisco and we had Professor Sato, and now we have like Talus, and like they've done a pretty decent job of adding. Yeah, the campaign crew that would slot nicely into most pre-existing rosters, but not usually. Like we haven't had a Braxton, we haven't had a Lucon or a Boothby. It seems like they're very like strategically picking who they want to put in there, which is smart. You don't want to throw your best sellers into the best value, I suppose.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that they released Determined Paris, so stunning Voyager but common skill set, and then literally the giveaway was a Paris with a stunning Voyage score but a common skill set. So it's like you could buy into the campaign, but then here's the free one as well. Oh look, we did that afterwards. So there's a little. I can kind of see the thought process almost happening there with how they sort of stagger the releases. It's like, we'll get them.
Are you saying that the fan base cried out for Paris and WRG was like, we have Paris at home, meanwhile Paris at home, luau Paris?
Hey,
I feel like that's yeah.
That is the best.
Hey
show
man, that's a 1962 replicated Big Daddy-O special, I believe he calls it in that episode, which is exactly the kind of nerdiness I expect from Tom Paris.
Best shirt 2021, definitely. Lastly, a couple of quick little ones. There is now the 5th anniversary Avatar up. Grudge is available for those of you who are watching that have been playing for 5 years, you lunatics. Actually, how close do you start? When did you start?
Oh god, I started back far enough that I had one copy of Mirror Jean-Luc Picard despite not participating in that mega. I got the copy through that mailbox thing, so that would have been like late 2017. And I think Cornwell was my first 4 out of 5, and I fused her up, and I was like, oh man, I really like Discovery. I think that this game will do nothing but wonders for me. Meanwhile, 3 years later, I'm here like, I'm on the stream again, and auto's backed out. I had to be extra entertaining.
Oh, don't sound too begrudging.
I'm happy to be here with you.
Hey, I'm happy you're here. I'm glad you joined me. Otherwise, it would be me on my own, and that wouldn't have gone well.
I don't know, man. Your one-man show, that sounds like it'd be a laugh. I want you to just and here are my spreadsheets, and here are some other spreadsheets, and here in my closet I keep spreadsheets.
Yeah, just endless. You wait till I get to the new place. Which people might notice I've got boxes packed behind me. We are getting closer and closer to our move, so that might be happening soon. So stay tuned for a scheduling update where we might be off the air for a bit. Yes, so you can get Grudge as your avatar if you're one of the people that have been playing for that long. Also, there was an update on Dira Tal, the Taled version that we're supposed to be getting for those of us that ranked 1/500 or over, or later on when they're going to be giving her away in achievement rewards, similar to Luau Paris and previous ones. The update says, we're in the process of finishing the crew. We'll let you know next week when it has been finalised and awarded to the eligible ranked players from a Stitch Saves 9 event. So that sounds like that wording is, we're getting a Diratal next week for those who ranked, but not necessarily the achievements. I think that is still, I remember rightly, they said mid-February. On that one.
I would be very shocked if they were going to run both Luau Paris and Adira Towel, as I've seen some people call her, right alongside each other, because that has all kinds of potential for going wrong. So I would imagine we see Luau Paris finish, and then, if not the day after or the day of, a week after, we'll see Adira being added for temporary achievements. That's why I imagine the time frame would be.
Yeah, you can sort of see it. I imagine they won't put it too close to the launch of the new feature either, because I think they'll want people to digest that first before they've got to go, right, I've got to run a load of shuttles and play a load of Gauntlet. Okay, this, you don't want to overstimulate everyone, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Let's talk very quickly, and I'm going to switch to the other scene. If I press the right button, let's get rid of them. Okay, let's talk quickly about the upcoming Klingon collection. I always say let's talk quickly, and we end up talking for half an hour, so let's just talk.
Well, you've got me on, so that's obviously going to happen. Before we continue, however, we're getting some mentions from the chat that apparently I am too loud and you are too soft.
I am too soft. Okay, I can adjust this. I can fix that. I can turn me up like that, and I can turn you down, I think, somehow. Let's try.
You don't have me turned down by default? That seems ridiculous.
There we go. I've lowered you and I've raised me. So if that's any better, chat, let me know. Captain Idle, how many sinks does your new place have? There's an ongoing joke I have with a group of other people that, because them living in America, you tend to have your large houses with your multitudes of sinks all around, and yes, my house I only have two sinks: kitchen sink, bathroom sink. It's a small house. I think.
What are the other types of sink? Do you have a celebratory sink and a? This is the sink that I pee in? What? What are these special sinks? Tell me your secrets.
Yeah, well, whilst you need a sink for, but I wash my hands in the sink. I wash everything in the sink. This is what you do. Everything in the sink. The new house will have, I think it'll have 4 sinks. So I'm doubling my sinkage. Anyway,
you're forgetting that every house always has one extra sink because you have a time sink as well.
Oh, very nice. I was having this argument as well, as I've got a water butt. As for those who don't know what one of those is, it's a big sort of chamber with a tap on the bottom that you collect rainwater in. I thought if I put a basin under that is another sink, so I could claim 5.
I don't approve of the sink chicanery. This feels like I need to recount these elections.
This is definitely a sinking ship. The Klingon collection is coming to us soon, so I thought before it hits, let's have a little chat about who might be in that collection.
Oh, you didn't tell me about the art you've put together. I've had this in my dreams a few times.
All wards.
That's my. If I could have that many dwarves on my bridge crew, I would.
Oh yeah, there you go. If you could staff every console at your. Okay, here we go. Here's one for you. You're on the bridge of the Enterprise D. You've got all the stations. You've got tactical, captain, first officer, con, and ops. Which dwarves from the game do you staff and where? Who is the captain? Who is the con officer?
Well, it has to be ones that are strictly in game. I can't pick ones that aren't in the game, but I would like.
In the game.
Okay.
Has to be in the game. It's relatable then.
Okay. I would put. Oh God, you really
put you on the spot
here. Yeah. No. Okay. I have to think about this because this is important. This is extremely important.
This is the highlight of the night.
I think I would have to put Mirror Regent Worf in command.
Okay.
Because he has the most commanding presence. But to counterbalance that, you had to have Pants Worf as his first officer. At helm, you would have to have. Oh God. have you done this to me? I can't believe you've done this. Defiant Commander Worf. Okay, that one works.
Yeah,
That's
that
fine.
works.
Yeah. At Tactical, you have EV Suit Worf.
EV suit, interesting. Not KDF.
He's got the biggest gun.
That's true.
He knows what he's doing. At Helm, I would probably put Trader Worf. And then, do I have to pick an engineer as well?
Yeah,
or are we just doing bridge crew?
Let's do engineer. Engineer and transport chief. How about that?
Oh god. Yeah, the character that still doesn't have a psi one. That's perfect. And for transporter chief, I would pick Protomorphosis Worf because that's just funny. And engineer, I would pick. Oh god, my brain is breaking.
Would you like some Worfs? Let me.
Klingon Worf for the shits and giggles. There we go.
Okay. And last but not least, what about the most important ship's counselor?
I feel like that one would have to be Niner's Worf because you would go into the counselor's office. You'd go into the counselor's office. You sit down, and he would be sat there. And you would be very, very soft, and you would explain your problems to him. And then he would ask you. Exactly. He would ask you, who is the source of all your frustrations? Find him and kill him. There you go. What more could you want?
Perfect. It's the highlight of my night, that is.
Klingon Collection!
Klingon Collection is...
There is a game.
So, there's some good news about the Klingon Collection, in that it is very large. Like Otto said, it's going to be possibly could be up to 80. I mean, there's plenty of Klingons in there for it to fill a roster that large. I think the largest cap was Diplomacy at 60. But with that, there are over 50 super rare Klingons. I think only 2, and don't quote me on this, but I think only about 2 are not in the portal. Like one of them's Laneth. But there are a lot.
It'd be Laneth and Groomwolf, I think, because Groomwolf is too recent.
Oh, okay.
No, he's too recent. He's like 2 or 3 months ago, so yeah.
Yeah, so there's only 2. So, to be honest, if you've been collecting your super rare Klingons just from in the portal, 40 should be no problem. Definitely start picking. I've definitely picked up a few more Klingons or Foragers that I haven't had before and going, all right, I will save Morale Paris and I will save Klingon Taurus. Whereas usually I'd have been like, no, straight out the airlock. But yeah, they're now going in. So definitely, if it is stat boosting as well, that's going to be an easy enough one to hit. So that's why I can see them going, and like we speculated last time, see them definitely going further than 60 and possibly to 80, which is going to be hard.
For a collection this relatively easy, like they've had 2 or 3 Klingons that have been mega crew alone.
Yes.
Like I feel like they have to go to at least 60 because that's easy. Like everyone's got a Tanavik knocking around. In fact, no, 3 because there was Cole as well. There's Tanavik, Cole, and
that's right. Yes, forgot about him.
Kortar. All 3 of them were mega, and it's like if you've picked up Final Star, that's 3 legendaries alone. There's all the 4 stars. There's a good amount of. It's 3 or 4 blues as well. A few 1 and 2 stars. Like there's a lot of Klingons in the game. I feel like if they wanted to have any kind of longevity at all, they'll either hit 60. Yeah. Or they'll go right to 80.
Also says
80 would be a high ballpark.
Takuvma too, so there's 4 mega ones if you were playing that long.
Jesus.
Yeah, so the Klingon, you're not flush for Klingons, definitely not. You've also got the Taurus. I mean, you've got some of the bigger names you should have been picking up, like the Tauruses, the Worfs. There's Martox in the early ranks. There's Chief Engineer Taurus, who's a 1-star. There's a lot in there for free. So this is going to be. It depends how they structure it. If they're going to do the whole 1, 10, 20, 40, 60, 80, maybe we'll see. And if they're all going to be stat boosting, maybe 80 will be a bit of an icon or something. Maybe it'll be another avatar. Or
I could see that. Like you get a little Klingon logo or a Great House type thing. That'd be fun. But I do sort of see it as a case of what is this going to boost? Well, the most likely thing would be what Command Dip set, because with the exception of maybe 2 or 3 cards, that's what all Klingons have. But I believe that that's what also was boosted by Mirror. So unless they want to massively sort of overbalance it in that, either we're going to have the hilarity of the Klingon collection giving you lots of med and psi boosts, or I don't know, maybe because he mentioned that we're going to get other collections after this, so it's interesting to see what they go for in terms of rewards.
Yeah, I don't know if they kind of lead it up as well, because we're coming up to a Klingon collection, and we've had Laneth, we've had Lady Sorella from this week, Klingon Kayla, can't say it. Kaylar. In my true Norfolk accent.
Oh god. I'm not here for this.
Are you glad you're stuck in here with me? So I wonder if we're going to start keep an eye out maybe for other crew that share some sort of common trait or common theme that they're starting to release. That maybe that might be a clue for the next collection, because I've wondered if they do tease it a little bit ahead of schedule. So that might be interesting to see. But
well, we have sort of like spotted megas coming straight out of the gate by like people like them stealth adding traits in. I think it was like what interrogator or prisoner. Like a few people had that stealth adding. We were like, that's interesting. You're leading up to a mega, and then people were like, okay, yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if they've been keeping that in mind for a little while, because it does give the game away a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. We are Borg notes as well. Duras sisters, you can get them as a super rare. That's 3 Klingons, essentially, just for collecting rare crew, which you can get all over the shop. So that's an easy one to get. You kind of, I think you only need about 30, maybe 29 immortal legendary Klingons, and there are some good Klingons out there. You've got Kalis, you've got Dahar Master Core, you've got some very good Worfs, Aegis Ale Worf, if you were lucky enough to get EV Suit Worf, but a lot of that are in the portal. Okay, Mirror Regent Worf, one of your favourites that you cited up recently, but you signed up because you loved him. There aren't as many sacrifices that you have to make in the Klingon collection that you would have to make in the Mirror collection.
Oh, absolutely. Like when you think of like the sheer amount of like garbage crew that are in Mirror, like all the like the bad Discovery crew who are probably never going to who are canonically dead and will probably never show up again, versus all of these like Klingons who have like multiple variants. They all have other like if you could about like Mirror Regent Wolf. There's something the 3rd collection he's in, because he's in Cardassian and Mirror as well. Yeah. So that's what kind of ties back to what I was talking about earlier, where this is a big value add for older, shittier crew, as it were. And there are a few bad Klingons out there, like someone like Dahar Master Kang. But again, Klingons like these collections are a nice way of taking the sting out of. Well, these are 2 skiller I'll never use, but I could easily see another Klingon mega, and like the collection helps. It does help.
Absolutely. I mean, they replayed Vulcan and Mirror megas for trait bonuses. Bearing in mind, they expanded the Vulcan collection and they expanded the Mirror. Well, they introduced the Mirror collection. I can see a trend here. It's like, right, you've collected all these Klingons now. Go ahead and use them, which is great, because if you're going to start investing into them, you will have something to use them for. Even like you say, the crap ones like Dahar Master Kang or Grilka. Some of those ones just kind of been sitting on the back line. Might be not a reason to cite them, but might be a reason to keep a few sites handy in case you kind of go, I like this faction. I could use that extra whatever skill Grilka is. I don't know. Command Sec?
I think she's like she's Command Dipsec because of course she is.
Yeah.
And I think she's like Voyager 300 now. So I hope you like those episodes. They are good episodes to be fair, but
Grilka's great.
Not good enough to take. Yeah, Grilka's great. I'm just kind of I'm kind of sad that she has such a shitty card.
She can get another variant. If Kayla can have about 5 variants, she can have some.
Yeah, easily.
Speaking of Klingons, let's talk about this week's event crew, featuring the best Klingon of them all, Lady Sorella, wife of Martok. Command Dip Sec, which we were just lamenting, Command Dip Sec, but another Klingon to come off the back of Klingon Kayla recently, Voyage number 78. I know a lot of people that want this card because Sorella is a force to be reckoned with in the show. We'll be talking about that in a little bit. But do we want another Command Dip Sec Klingon with very little chance for variance?
I have to ask, the best Klingon? Are you trying to trigger me here? Are you trying to trigger me here, good sir?
I was paying homage to our guest. Don't annoy her. She has a withering, scornful look.
I see.
Got to pay respects to the lady of the house. Come on.
So, we'll get into this because I have a script ready. But yeah, so we have another Command Dip Sec Klingon right after Klingon Kayla, and kind of strictly speaking, she's a little bit worse. She has, I believe, like Interrogator and Royalty, which are fun little traits. Like Royalty, especially, is like a one that we've had like only 4 or 5 cards to have that, and I could easily see a little event based on that because that's a fun thing to play around with. But it is sort of interesting that they're leading in all these Klingons to make the collection a little bit easier, but how many of these do you really need? Like, how many Command Dip Sec Klingons? I mean, it's inevitable because that's what they do. They drink and they fight and they sing, and they do other things as well. But it does sort of like, I do think they could have spaced these out a little bit differently. Like maybe like I don't know, like a month in between, rather than like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But it does sort of like just draw to attention the fact that you get a lot of command dipsec. Like if you don't like one of these cards, like this week, wait another week. Trust me, there will be another one. You might even get a 4 out of 5 one for free. Who knows? That being said, like you said, this is a card for people who want Sorella. They don't particularly care about. She could be a 2-skiller with like 2016 bases, and people would still want her, which I completely respect. I completely respect that. Like I'm one of those weirdos who still wants Protomorphos Wolf just because he's the only one I don't have. So she could have been a lot worse. I think that people who get her out of this event and fuse her out will probably end up using her because she's just like you can do a lot worse. You could do a Kevin Uxbridge, for example. But yeah, this one's for the fun of it rather than for purely statistical things.
The art is gorgeous as well. It's definitely one of the good. They've been coming out with some really good arts, but this is absolutely a fantastic one. Like it sounds silly they say they capture the likeness of the show because that's what they all do, but this one especially seems to sort of, as if she's jumped out of the episode specifically, just the way she's holding herself, the pose, and looking off into the middle distance, probably thinking about eviscerating some Trill, but we're gonna do sorry, go on.
Well, I was going to say that another reason to grab her, and like speaking to how good they've gotten the lightness down, you can now have your bridge crew of Grumorth, Bride, Jadzia, a Martok of your choice. I think you'd probably want to go for General Martok for this, and now Sorella. So you can have the whole set, which if you're into that kind of thing, and I kind of am, because I took a picture of my What a Little Girl's Made Of bridge crew, and I was quite happy with that. Like, people, hey!
Oh, no, I was thinking of a different episode. No, I was thinking of a different episode. I was thinking about where the children should lead. Carry on. No, What a Little Girl's Made Of was a good episode. I was thinking of
for an episode you claim to hate, you definitely talk about it a lot. Is there something you need to tell us?
It's a terrible episode. I'm literally mentally scarred from watching that recently. Anyway, sorry, carry on.
I was just saying that, you can have your bridge crew photo, which for people who that matters for, that's a nice little thing. It's always nice when you can complete the set, as it were.
We're going to go on and do something we haven't done for quite some time, and Auto's here to miss it, but we're going to have one of our famous Timelines recaps.
In a world where Latinum is king, 3 men, 1 desire, to share stories that are beyond belief. But what happens when the absurd becomes real? An airlocked in Glatu, appearing in crew quarters, failed voyages, reviving themselves. A Behold, with 3 Lucians, seeing Dilemma Part 3 at hour 6. These and other unbelievable stories that you'll only find here on Timelines Talks. Episode recap.
Yes, welcome to another spooky, scary episode of Timelines Recaps. We're going to be talking about You Are Cordially Invited from the Season 6, Episode 6 or 7 of Deep Space Nine, which was...
Episode 7, yes.
Episode 7, so close yet so far. Stars, would you say is one of your favourite episodes?
I'd say it's probably
Worf episode?
It's a heavily war-centric episode, but it's also one of those rare things which is a Jadzia focused episode, because as time went on, she got a little bit less focus, and you also got a lot more focus on Dax versus Jadzia herself as a character, which I always thought was like an interesting dichotomy, which they went into detail a lot more with Ezri and with Adira later on the separation between the person and the symbiont. Instantly, someone informed me that we were mispronouncing Adira earlier on, so apologies for that. This is this is a really good episode, and it's also like some primo DS9 because it draws on a lot of stuff that's been previously established, and it's a nice sort of breath of fresh air because this comes on the back of essentially a 6-parter, even though they don't call it that, of the Dominion occupation of the station at the end of season 5. And even if you aren't a war fan, which I've spied that some people who are soon to be banned in the chat aren't, there's a lot to enjoy in this episode. I also have to point out that with Otto not here, but his voice doing all the voiceovers, I feel like we should just have the Star Wars Episode 9 text crawl, the dead speak. And then we can have our own version of the John is dead theory going on, where it's like Otto speaks from beyond the grave.
What are you talking about? Otto is here.
Shut up, Otto, you moron.
See? It's like he never left.
You can hit that button as much as you want. He's not here. You can.
Please, take us through this episode.
I shall take us through this episode. So
take me on a journey.
We start off on an emotional journey, spirit of the heart of two Klingon hearts that are momentarily torn apart, but then put together again. So as I mentioned, we start off with DS9 having just been taken back from the Dominion, and everyone's in pretty high spirits as they shovel Ducat's crap off the station before it stinks up the living quarters a little bit too much. Or perhaps more accurately, we start off with this cute little scene between Cisco and Kira as they reflect on how happy they are to be back together. And this is one of those things that I was watching this on its own just to prepare for this recap, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot how cute these two got as time went on, because as they first start out, they're very awkward and antagonistic toward each other, even though he's the emissary. And I think it's in Starship Down where they have that conversation about how she holds him sort of apart because of that spiritual distance. And then they slowly start closing it, and you really get a nice little culmination here where they're just Cisco is just taking pride and happiness in being able to say good morning, and she's just like, you know what, yeah, it is nice to say good morning to each other, and it's just it's a little bit sappy and a little bit sweet, but I really kind of appreciated it, and it's I got this little screen cap because it's not often you can look at a screen cap from DS9 and go oh.
I mean, this whole episode's a bit like that, really. It's very much the sappy TV kind of episode they throw in occasionally to sort of tug the heartstrings, but it's weird seeing it in DS9, but it works.
Well, you do need the occasional release because it's like I mentioned, this comes right after a really heavy 6-parter where I believe a Bajoran Vedek kills themselves on the promenade, and you have all the stuff with Tora Zial, and it gets pretty heavy, so you need these occasional releases. Season 7 had a similar thing with Take Me Out to the Hollow Suite and the Bada Boom Bada Bing type thing, so... So with this, we move on to Martok being a typical crotchety old Klingon who wants to go off and kill things. But instead, he's stuck at DS9 fighting the most dishonorable enemy of all, paperwork. He also tries to sort of make moves on Cisco's baseball, which was apparently a fun little ad lib of J.G. Hertzler's, because Klingons obviously don't play baseball, and he was like, well, wouldn't it be fun if I just messed with this little background element in the scene? And Avery Brooks, being the weird little improv guy he is, I figured, I'm gonna just take that away before he decides that it's some kind of thing to be eaten. And Martok is complaining endlessly about how Worf would not shut the fuck up about his upcoming wedding. And sort of that's your lead into the punchline, because then we switch over to the happy couple themselves, where Dax is very, very comfortably settled into stepmother mode. And I've had this happen with my own stepmother, where you start talking and then they have that, I am approving of my stepson, and this whole sort of that dynamic. But what sort of caught me the most is the fact that Worf looks positively fatherly in this scene. He's sort of smiling and looking happy, and he's and Alexander's telling the story about how he was a massive fuck up on the ship that he's been stationed on, and how they're all embracing his fuck-uppery because it means they'll have good luck. And I was just wow, that's Worf being proud of his son and happy. And
the closest he gets. I fucked up.
Yeah, no. Yeah, he's you know what, that's fine. I've come to accept that. Kayla would want me to accept that you were a massive fuck-up.
I've just realised, sorry, all my images for some reason are out of order, so I'm having to flick through and find the right one. It's probably something on my end, not the way, because you labelled them correctly. I think it's something I did. So anyway, sorry, carry on. I'll just have to flick through as we go.
Okay, no worries. Fair enough. But yeah, this is the point where Alexander reveals that he's going to be transferred to another ship, which gets Dax thinking, and as often happens with Dax thinking, that leads to plot development. And she ends up quickly convincing Worf to speed up the wedding so that it happens while Alexander is still around. And this they butt heads a little bit over this because Worf, the burgeoning groomzilla he is, wanted it to be on the Klingon homeworld, but obviously we need to have an episode. And so they decide, screw it, we'll have the wedding here on DS9. We'll have it quick in the middle of the war. And this also conveniently explains why we aren't going to see any TNG characters this week, sad days. Is your computer about to explode?
No, we're okay. It's fine. I'm just trying to work out why these are all out of order. But anyway, carry on.
Fair enough. So you have your intro, your credits, which I still think I do love the DS9 theme. It leads itself to a very, very good remix, which I think you were going to mention something about.
Yeah, it's really weird because you listen to the DS9 soundtrack, and there's the DS9 theme song on there with a terrible version of it where the drums are all completely out of time. It's horrible. But right in the middle, there's this amazing guitar solo, like a completely whole new refrain, and you're just like, who thought this was I love a good guitar solo, but who thought this was a good idea? It's like, I'm producing this. I'm going to put these sick licks on it. It's like,
he just got bored in the recording studio and was like, well, you know what? This feels good.
Well, did you know as well, and I found this out recently, there is an album by the cast of Babylon 5 that has been recorded and produced by one of the lead guitarists of Toto. If things you never knew existed do exist, that's one of them. I forget his name.
Is he like a big fan of Babylon 5, or is that just like a...
What was his name? I forget. I used to have a friend that was a big fan of his. But yeah, the lead guitarist from Toto, helped produce and play on a Babylon 5 rock album. So there you go. Your useless fact of the day.
Let's be real, Idle. It's this show. They're all useless facts.
Very true. We are any. Hey, what are you saying? This is all productive. This is going towards the betterment of humanity. Is it not? Okay.
Is this the part where you give me your Cordially speech about how you work to better yourselves, and then I go, No,
this is the one. This is the one where I say, it is not failing. It is life.
Yes. I'm just going to leave that to hang in the air so everyone can absorb your wisdom. So after the credits, we get sort of our little plot lowdown from Jadzia, which is that Worf has always wanted a traditional all the trimmings Klingon wedding since he was a boy. And at this point, I have to remind you, do not, I repeat, do not imagine Worf drawing pictures of his ideal wedding and being bullied by other boys. Because Michael Dorn will find you and he will kill you for imagining such a thing. Because I want you to imagine small, tiny child Worf with his very serious brow. I imagine he was born with that.
It's a beautiful dress.
There must be many Targs, all lined up in pretty dresses. And this is one of my favorite lines.
Hang on. Has Worf been thinking about this, or have you been thinking about this? What would be your favorite?
Shut up. It's fine. Don't worry about it. I think we get one of those lines that I really love, which is that Jadzia manages to bring stuff out of Worf that no one else can. Where she says that there are times when Worf literally gets misty-eyed talking about Klingon rituals. And Jadzia finds this just about the cutest thing. You can tell from the tone of her voice that she's like, that's really cute. In the same way that I imagine your wife tells you, yes, honey, your mobile game and your stuff is very...
You're not wrong. Yes, darling. The way you sacrifice that Targ to the god of Kalis is just...
It touches the heart. So take notes, gentlemen. Be as scowly and clenched jaw as you like, but show sentiment. It's attractive. And so with everything sort of moving towards this wedding, we get our B plot, which is Worf's bachelor party, which has different connotations to Klingons than it does to humans. And it's apparently part of the ritual that he is accompanied by his closest male friends. Bashir is here because he's main cast and Alexander Siddig needs to do something to earn his paycheck.
He's known him for what, 2 years? And half of that year he's not even served on a ship with him?
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that what have they even done together? I think there was that one scene when Worf comes aboard where he nearly destroys Bashir's dartboard, and then I know he got really pissed off at him about the Esri stuff. I don't think he said more than 3 words to Bashir, really.
O'Brien, you can count, because they were genuine shipmates, and Sisko.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. O'Brien, I'll absolutely allow. And Sisko, he's captain. That's fine. It's a different relationship. But I looked this up, and apparently they could get LeVar Burton, and they could have gotten Jonathan Frakes because they're both directors, right? And they were both producing stuff on the lot. Yeah. They could have easily been on the show, but they were like, we either do the entire cast or we do none of them. And I feel like that was kind of the right choice. Yeah. That being said, I would have loved Riker and Geordi to turn up for this, because that would have been hilarious.
And then Riker takes off his sideburns, and it's Thomas, and it's a marquee plot.
You just give me an idea for my next Star Trek Adventures homebrew.
Oh, okay. I look forward to that.
All right. But enough of my fan fiction bullshit. Moving back to our A plot, Jadzia has her own set task, which is courting the favor of our new card herself, Lady Sorella, who is Martok's wife, since she'll be joining their house. And with her arrival, you have basically our card art in an iconic little scene that cribs a little bit from Shakespeare, but mostly from, I'm told, general married life. Idle, you'll have to back that up.
Yeah, totally.
Are you the Sorella or the Martok? In the
we are. Well, we're never.
Don't ask.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I'm getting a bit Martok here.
All right. And as is tradition on our recap, we have to read our scheduled homoerotic segment of the script.
Wait, what?
Hey man, you didn't think you'd get out of this, did you?
Fine.
All right. And as befits, I shall be Martok, and you shall be Lady Sorella.
No, sorry.
Have you put on your proper Klingon haughtiness? Have you adopted your persona?
Hell, let me get into the moment.
All right, and I have both eyes, but you just have to picture that I've got one eye closed. Okay.
Right.
Okay. My lady.
You've put on weight, and your hair is going grey.
My deterioration is proceeding apace.
I thought you would be in your grave by now.
I shall endeavour to die this year, if possible. Allow me to present Captain Benjamin Sisko, Commander of Deep Space Nine. Captain, may I present the mistress of the House of Martok, my wife and the mother of my children, Sorella, daughter of Linkasa. And
pleasure.
I had to grab... yeah, I think she's basically like, fuck all this shit, I don't want to be here, I'm going to go to my room.
Yes.
And then you get this little... I had to grab this because Avery Brooks does some of the best little like eye movements and stuff like that. You can tell he was in the theater because they're always a little bit exaggerated. But Martok is watching her go, and he just goes, magnificent. and Sisko is like, whatever, man, whatever floats your boat. And so that's your sort of like your Beatrice and Benedict sort of like tone setter. And it also sort of like leads you into the meat of the episode, which is that Sorella is difficult. And she's disapproving of Worf's son, and Jadzia considerably more so. Now, whether that's racism, like maybe it's racism, maybe it's Maybelline. But Jadzia clearly...
I think that is the Klingon slogan, isn't it?
It might well be. They do tend to have wonderful hair.
Wonderful hair and killing the sons of your enemies.
Exactly. But yeah, Jadzia clearly isn't going to win her favor with her usual charm and aplomb because Trill's sort of like dynamics don't really translate for Klingons. And I grabbed this little recap just in case you're wondering where her command primary comes from. If you're curious, it is all over in display on this episode. So back on the Rataran, Martok is explaining that Sorella basically believes that aliens are icky and gross. And that she, as a lady of a great house, has complete control over the matters of the household. Which is an addition that Ronald D. Moore made to address the fact that some of the writing choices he'd made in TNG had sort of sidelined Klingon women, especially when it came to politics. Like if you remember, they were barred from serving on the council. You don't see a lot of Klingon women in the military. Like most of the main characters are all male. So basically, he had tried to address that by making them the absolute monarch of the household, as it were. And Martok basically tries to reassure Worf that he has nothing to worry about, to which Worf replies in his best dour worry tone, "How comforting." Which is basically a George Carlin line coming from Worf, and Martok starts cackling like a maniac in response. And that's where you also get the quote for Groom Worf.
Sorry, do you think on the Rataran that Worf did stand up, and because of his humor is just so dry, he's like very kind of anti-humor for a Klingon? They're just he's just sitting there just talking about his day, and they're just loving it.
I think he'd probably be the Bill Hicks of like Klingon comedy.
I found the Gar disappointing. They're just belly laughing.
Yeah, no, it's like oh god, I'm just imagining like what Klingon Seinfeld would be like, and I'm just like, I need that show in my life.
With Quark as Kramer.
Oh god, you can already imagine it. Okay,
I'm there.
We have an episode recap to get to. We can't be doing this. Now I need you to tell me that you have recap picture number 12 lined up properly.
I believe I do. Yes, I do.
This one's important. Because this is Worf explaining.
Oh, yes, I do.
Oh, the Kalhaya, which is the Klingon bachelor party, or alternatively, a mobile game fan base after a non-assailants pushback.
Yes.
I'm allowed to make that joke because we all felt it.
No, we were there. There are no honor sales.
We were all... just all blown out the airlock. We're all gone. And I also was because I always have an eye for these things. I was eyeing this up, and I was like, we could have Kalhaya, Worf, and Martok, because they have these very fetching sort of ceremonial, the Klingon half coats with the sleeves cut off that look very authorial and very very press. I could easily see that being another variant, either that or Ritterhouse from Far Beyond the Stars.
Yeah.
But I could talk variants of Klingons all day.
There needs to be some more Martoks, definitely.
Definitely, he's such a wonderful character, and it's most of his variants are kind of garbage, but whatever. Meanwhile, back on the A plot, Jadzia is having a bit of a rough time, with Sorella demanding that she jump through every ritualistic hoop she can think of, denigrating her for being Klingon, and Jadzia, with a look on her face that would make Janeway proud, doesn't quite rise to the bait, although it's very clear she really wants to, because anyone who's paid any time with that is she does not respond well for this. And next, as part of this sort of initiation ceremony, she forces Dax to recount the history of her great house. And Dax does her best to toe the line while still being as snarky as the Trill possibly can manage, up until she can't quite help herself. And she essentially calls Sorella's 23rd maternal grandmother a concubine living outside the Imperial stables.
Your grandmother's a whore, essentially.
And I was like, can I say that? I feel like I say all kinds of swear words on the show, but can I say the word whore? Can I say the word?
You'll be fine.
But then later on, we're going to have, I was like, oh, I'm shocked this was allowed through. And yeah, not the royalty she claims to be in before WRG removes the royalty trait. And Sorella, understandably, is not best pleased, but Dax is basically content to stare her in the eye and continue to recite the official saga now that she's done calling Sorella a daughter of a... Well, you get the idea.
Yes. A lady of the night.
A lady of the night. That's
a Klingon of the night.
That's a terrifying. And now I'm just picturing Klingon Jack the Ripper, and that's even weirder than Klingon Seinfeld.
Is it weird that I'm thinking of Kay Lest? She was a Klingon lady.
You know what? Well, that's one hell of a night I'd like to not have, because I feel like if we had to have a new #1 basic, I wouldn't mind it being Kay Lest with just the justification of her there with a knife.
You've got fat. And Kempek, where's Kempek? Anyway, we divulge.
There's too many Klingons. It's fine. As Ben would say, there's a lot of crew.
There's a lot of crew.
Don't worry about it. We'll get them all. So yeah, Dax is she's towing the line just about. At least until the next scene, where Dax is throwing a party that features fire sticks, Ferengi chicken dancing, and lots of alcohol. Seriously, if you want a bit of a laugh, go and watch the scene and watch what Aaron Eisenberg is. Yeah, he's doing and you have to tuck your ears and stuff like that. It's Aaron Eisenberg apparently completely improvised that on
he's
set.
Loving
and
it.
Man, oh, he's having a great time. We lost something great when we lost Aaron Eisenberg. And I would love dancing Nog as a card. That'd be beautiful. And this scene apparently is a bit of a remnant of an old idea of a party ship that would come by every now and then, stuffed full of traffic Pacific Islanders who would come by DS9 every now and then to lighten the mood, but never really came to fruition. So you'll never really get to see a Trek party quite this lively again. Discovery has a few good ones, but I don't feel like they quite top up to Nog doing his weird chicken dancing. And you also get Morn doing chest ups with a bowlie and stuff like that. It's great fun. It's a really fun little party. And in case you're wondering, things are still going absolutely swimmingly for the Chief, Bashir, and Sisko. Bashir is on the way to Kalhaya. He's getting clarity. He's seeing the truth of his life and where he is in the moment. Back at the party, Dax has just discovered Nog's amazing dancing skills, while Odo and Kira go off to sit in a closet all night and talk about him being a quasi-fascist and all that unimportant fluff. Nothing, Nothing you need to see on screen.
Working with the enemy.
Just,
yeah, rekindling their
Yeah, no,
relationship.
like drinking the Kool-Aid about the changelings, being complicit in all these war crimes. Don't worry about it. They'll solve it off screen. And then while this is happening, Jadzia basically drapes herself over the Pacific Islander who was doing the fire dancing, essentially. And she basically drapes herself over Lieutenant Atoa, who I can't... She drapes herself over him, over his six-pack, while clearly thinking about pulling him in a six-pack.
Oh, very nice. Well done.
Yeah. Like, I that's why I was like fumbling around. I think I was like, I have to make sure this joke lands because this is the meat of the script. Not so you can see the strings and all, but that's the best material.
She is definitely not shy with him. That's very much like, I'm gonna have a party on. By the way,
yeah,
I'm kind of thinking that Sorella might be a bit right.
Yeah, because like I got the definite impression that like Dax was like on the verge of that like last night of freedom type thing. Yeah, no, it was still right on, but it was a case of like, is this your what? But whatever. Sorella comes in, and she's acting like a bigger buzzkill than Jonathan Archer at a Vulcan symposium, and basically says that Jadzia is clearly more interested in, quote, acting like a Rizian slut than the ritual she signed on for. Now, this was the point where I was like, okay, I could probably say whore. I'm not going to, but I could because they are throwing around the word slut, which is a bit of a thing for like 90s track.
You are acting like my 23rd maternal grandmother.
If Sorella had been more witty, I feel like that would have made the cut. Yeah.
Towing the line of the honor.
Exactly. And Jadzia, who is still attempting to be relatively diplomatic, asks her to leave. Sorella, being the number 13 command base that she is, threatens to cancel the wedding. Things become a little heated. Knives are pulled. Punches are thrown. And the wedding is obviously off.
A typical Klingon wedding, really. I mean, disappointing.
Honestly, I'm kind of shocked this isn't more part of the process. I would have thought that there'd be more of this. So the morning after, Jadzia is incredibly hungover. With Lieutenant Atoa and Morn, being rabid party animals, waking up on her floor and filing out just in time for Worf to see a half-naked man and Lurian leave his quarters, which sounds like the lead-up for a joke, but I got nothing. And I've also grabbed like a screen cap here of the sight of like over Worf's shoulder of Lieutenant Atoa and the Morn, because not only is Lieutenant Atoa's face amazing, and I would love to have that as the art here turns up in like in a six-pack, but I do believe that Morn is stealing a glass, the cheeky bugger.
Oh yeah,
he's got.
No, he came with that. He's still at Quarks in his head.
This is my lucky glass, you bastards.
It's his tankard, essentially. He takes it everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I can't go anywhere without this. Is my glass. This is my mother's glass.
He'd tell you the whole story if you asked him.
He never shuts up, that guy. So then, ushering Odo and Kira out of their closet because they've been doing unimportant things like character development, Jadzia tries to convince Worf that all they need is a free morning and Captain Sisko in order to have their wedding. But Worf is like pretty clearly crestfallen about this, and he begins to have enough doubts about. He wants his targs, goddammit! And he basically sort of says that, if you aren't gonna respect this part of me and my wants, then why are we getting married? Like, what is the dynamic here? And this is if this was a more serious episode, this would be the point where like 1 billion ships blow up. But because the stakes are relatively lower for this episode, the rating's off. And then we sort of like move back to Defiant, where Martok comes to talk to Worf about the nature of his relationship with Jadzia. And Worf is sort of like in a very unusually reflective mood, while Martok does his best to convince his bonded brother that, Dax and him should make up. They're great together. They complement each other perfectly. And he reminds him, in his best Martok Klingon gruffy voice, "We are not accorded luxury of choosing the women we fall in love with." Which is pretty sage advice. Like, I really like Martok in this scene. Like, he's very, very level-headed, and if it weren't for Worf, I definitely think Martok would probably be my favorite Klingon. He's such a wonderful presence. And Worf, being the hopeless romantic that he is, agrees. So he goes to talk to Dax. And,
I'm starting to pick up something with this episode. Did this come out around about the same time that reality television came big? Because this is pretty much the Star Trek equivalent of an episode of something like, Bridezilla or whatever. Essentially.
I definitely feel like there is an element of that, but I also feel like 90s sitcoms in general just had like a wedding episode. Like I imagine if you go back to watch like Friends or something like that, there's probably like at least 2 or 3 wedding episodes.
There's about 7 or 8 in Friends.
Just this. Yeah, it's just this. This is the content you're expecting. I think Star Trek only does this like once or twice, so I think we got off lightly.
Okay.
Yeah. So Worf agrees to try and patch things up with Jadzia, but that clearly isn't interested, and she is absolutely incensed at the idea of having to bow and beg and scrape to Sorella, and refuses to even contemplate letting the wedding go forward. Until Sisko, being the captain and the voice of reason, steps up to remind Jadzia that she is still Jadzia, not Jazdax, and that Sorella doesn't care about the worm in her belly, but about her heart. Essentially, even though the thing is, it's like with this whole Klingon honor and like like about keeping Klingon culture pure. Yes, there is a slightly racist element to it, but there is also an element of prove that you have the Klingon temperament, and you'll be alright. I think is what the episode is driving at. And Sisko sort of reminds her that she is still in love with Worf, gorgeous and all. And that means accepting everything that he is, Klingon traditions included. Which is a bit of an odd thing to learn, where it's like, I feel like at some point Worf should have just told her, by the way, I had this relationship with Kayla and we had kind of a similar trajectory, so if Klingon rituals ever come up, that's kind of a deal breaker for me. But clearly that conversation never happened. They were clearly too busy having like bone-shattering sex, so whatever. Hey man, it's canon. I don't make the rules.
No, you are right. It's just the way you said it. Bone shattering.
It is literally bone shattering.
No, I know.
That's the way Klingons do it. So Sisko gets through to Jadzia, reaffirming his place as best sci-fi dad, even to Trill, who are 300 years older than him. And so finally, we come to the finale, which is the Klingon wedding to top all Klingon weddings, full of red leather, drums, fire, and pomp and circumstance. And we sort of like have this lovely this is a big ceremony. Like this is, you can definitely see why Worf was acting as the groomzilla he was, because he wants this. This is a production for all to see. He's very dramatic like that. And slowly but surely you get like Sorella talking through the mythology of the Klingon heart. And she says that with fire and steel did the gods forge the Klingon heart. So fiercely did it beat, so loud was the sound, that the gods cried out, on this day we have brought forth the strongest heart in all the heavens. None can stand before it without trembling at its strength. But then the Klingon heart weakened, its steady rhythm faltered, and the gods said, why have you weakened so? We have made you the strongest in all of creation. And the heart said, line!
Hang on. Where are we? There's a script here somewhere. The heart said, where am I? Oh, and the heart said, I am alone. I thought I was Sorella.
It's fine.
All right.
We don't care about gender in this here chat.
Fair enough.
Well, we do about respecting pronouns, but
We
not
do,
about...
and I apologise, but anyway, Karen.
We care about respecting pronouns, not necessarily about swapping roles.
I am alone.
You are alone. And the gods knew that they had erred, so they went back to their forge and brought forth another heart. But the second heart beat stronger than the first, and the first was jealous of its power. Fortunately, the second heart was tempered by wisdom.
If we join together, no force can stop us.
And when the two hearts began to beat together, they filled the heavens with a terrible sound. For the first time, the gods knew fear. They tried to flee, but it was too late. The Klingon hearts destroyed the gods who had created them, and turned the heavens to ashes. And to this day, no one can oppose the beating of two Klingon hearts. Not even me.
Bravo.
And so I can definitely see why Sorella has like a very special place in people's heart, because that ceremony is wonderful and it's so very Klingon, and it has this wonderful air of like romanticism. And I do believe that some people have like either cosplayed or had weddings in this style, which would not surprise me.
I think so. I've definitely seen some.
I would
photos and
imagine that
comments.
at the very least, Stella Rice has a version of like Jedzia's dress from this
I think-
episode.
I think she might actually, but I don't want to confirm that. We'll ask her next time she's on. Yeah, no, that is a great episode. I actually rewatched it before we came on here just so I catch up, and it is just like a lot of the shows from that era. It's just watchable. It's just endlessly watchable. I can't stop.
It is eminently watchable, which is the highest compliment you can. Eminently.
You're very.
Hey,
Eminent.
we're coming up with all kinds of synonyms.
That's a
this
very
week.
Kai win. Your eminence. That's a very kind of. You gotta be careful with that.
Walk with the prophets, my child.
So, Stars, I've got to ask: are you going for Sorella this week?
So, I would have just for the bridge crew photo, but I have like 2 crew slots left, and I already have Klingon Kayla, and I feel like one of them has to make the cut, and it's gonna be Klingon
make them
Kayla.
fight. Make them fight.
I suppose I could always just airlock Fierce Guinan or whatever, but
I think this is going to have to be the next community vote. Who would you rather keep, Klingon Kayla or Lady Sorella? So, chat, let us know which you'd rather keep. Would you prefer?
this is a very auto sort of showdown where it's like, who is your Star Trek female paramour of the game, and it's like, I think Klingon Kayla versus Sorella, that's an easy matchup.
Klingon. I mean, it is quite a good matchup because it is, 2 of Worf's, well, not lover, but like attached to the lover. It's part of his romance essentially. So it's 2 matriarchs of various families. So it's
Matriarchs, very good. I like that's a good use of that word.
very matriarchal. Well, they are. They're very, very matriarchal. So that's Lady Sorella this week. Moving on from that very epic, very, very good recap that you did there, Stars. Congratulations. We also have Mike Burnham is your super rare that you can get this week. You will be able to get 4 copies of him. 1 from the Galaxy Rewards, 3 from the Rewards. And he is Sexidip. He is, if you do not remember, he is the father of Michael Burnham from Discovery. He was featured, because I've seen a lot of people confused, like, is this a season 3 spoiler? This is not. This was in season 2. There was a bit of a recap about how him and his mother ended up getting trapped on their base and invaded by the Klingons, oddly. So it's a bit of a theme there. And I think he met his demise. I can't remember if that was actually shown on screen. So we could.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that like Gabrielle managed to escape using the Red Angel suit, but I'm pretty sure everyone involved is like confirmed that he's dead.
So this is your one and only chance to get Mike Burnham a variant of, because I can't really see them doing any more. But Sexidip is a fairly decent thing to have for a super rare crew.
Yes, he's actually like a really decent. I think he's like the number 13 Voyager, and he's got a few decent traits like Undercover Operative and Section 31, which is you don't get a lot of Section 31 crew. So if that faction ever gets a bit more love, maybe a Mega or even like a tiny little vanity collection, well worth picking up. This is a really good crew, especially for newer players, because I think the last Sexai crew we would have gotten like that would have been readily available would have been like New Eden and Wishakun ages ago. So this is definitely one worth picking up. Even if Disco is dead, I think like, if you haven't got a lot of like strong Sexai Voyagers, he will anchor that down for a little while. But he's definitely like sort of freeze bound once you've outgrown that, and if you manage to grab someone with like a slightly better pedigree, like Activated Daj or Gary 7, we should all be so lucky. But yeah, I'm actually like pleasantly surprised. Like I wasn't expecting someone who had like 3 seconds of screen time and maybe like 5 lines to get that much love. But clearly they put the effort in, and I'm quite happy about it.
I mean, Sek because he's got a gun and he did fight off the invaders. Sai because he was a scientist, and Dip because he's a dad, I think, which I can sympathise of having 2 small children. You have to be diplomatic at all times. So yes.
Are you telling me that fatherhood is nothing but a succession of Dip node unlocks?
Yeah, essentially. And you fail every single one of them. The rating is up here.
Idol, I've heard they're so good.
No, I'm all base. No, I'm empty bases, mate. No calories. But yeah, no, he's quite a good card to grab. Even for those people who've got sort of expanded rosters, I think he's likely to get an event. And because Sexai is so uncommon, especially on Super Rare Crew, he will grab some use in an event in the future. You're getting 4 of him, so why not?
Absolutely, and it's a case of like, and for those of you who are like, I finish all my super rares, I look more freeze them. you can use this guy for so many good bridge crew photos. You could have him shooting people in the crotch, or like trying to shoot Humbled Archer in the head.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of fun little little things you could do with an art like this.
Definitely. No, he's a good one. This is a bit of a strange event because doesn't happen often. I think it's happened once or twice before, but none of the crew from this event have any variants. Last week, Kevin Uxbridge, he will be the event crew, no variants. Mike, no variants. And the other crew this week, David Marcus, there are no variants. Obviously, his mother doesn't count. The only bonus pool we have is the Innovators. I won't talk too much about David Marcus because he's Cyan. He's probably one of the first super rares you got and did nothing with when you had him.
He's primarily collection fodder. Yeah, I think he counts as jury rigger and innovator. So he's a decent collection piece like that. But in terms of daily use, he's nothing. But yeah, innovator is quite a wide pool. Obviously, it's mostly composed of Cyan Eng. But our good pal No Name Namer has been nice enough to sort of throw in some suggestions of crew who you might want to use to fill out your nodes, as it were, depending on who you have. So New Eden Wishakun, oddly enough, who I just mentioned, Dr. Agnes Gerati, Alik because Med is thin, as are the sec rank for innovators, which is to be expected. Alan Adale, everyone's favorite Geordie variant. Tactical Michael Burnham, who innovates with a gun.
Somehow.
Like father, like daughter. Like father, like daughter. Don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it. Cyrano de Baclay, who I believe we were sort of espousing this guy will never get an event, and then boom. So, and if you were lucky enough to pull Socrates from the 6-pack, he is possibly one of the best crew to run on this mission because he's the #1 crew for a ton of common pairs. And he and Queen Poe, who is another innovator, have had bit of a double whammy because they both are cultural figures and they're both innovators. And so it sort of highlights that, I don't know, when I we were looking at event traits, I was like, they'll never do collection traits as a binding thing for an event. That seems like it'd be too much value. And to a degree, I was right because they've gotten away with not having. The only innovator here is David Marcus. Despite working on a Red Angel suit, Mr. Mike Burnham Sr. does not qualify as an innovator. Neither does Kevin Uxbridge. So
does displace Gabrielle Burnham? Because surely she should be as well.
I would laugh if she wasn't.
Let me have
guess what? Time travel suit in the 23rd century, not an innovation. That's old news.
She is not an innovator. She is a jury rigger. And an astrophysicist survivalist, but survivalist makes a lot of sense. But she is not an innovator, so
nothing innovative at all about it. Don't even old news. Who cares? Who even cares? Time travel suit says they're 5 a million. Don't worry about it.
The episode.
I've got one sitting in my closet over there.
Yeah, this is what I'm using to move house. Not even just going through place. Just chuck it all in the suit. Over the road it goes. But yes, there's quite a lot of crew we can unfreeze for this one. So if you're looking to go larger, the faction event, or even some parts of the galaxy, a lot of options. And like you say, there's a few med options. Not that there's many med seats really, but you're going to want someone to sit on them that maybe isn't Bones, because that Bones is probably just going to grab that seat. But I think
he's just gonna be standing there all right, it's my job. This is what I do.
This is what I do. That Rick and Morty sketch is so what do you do? I fill med seats. Oh. But if
we do love him though.
If you're looking for, you got those spare 4 sites and you picked up Socrates and you think, should I cite him? This is kind of an example of why yes, you should. He's counted for 2 events already. He is an absolute monster in this one. And he's just useful all round. So not that I'm saying you should spend your sights on Socrates if you've got him. Obviously each roster's different, but if you were thinking about doing it for this event, might be a not bad shout.
And also I should give our customary disclaimer: do not pull 6-packs. They never end well.
They do
never
not, as you know,
ever. We're not going to roll the footage again, but there is existing footage of me dying on stream because of a 6-pack, so don't do it.
Speaking of 6-packs, wonderful segue. This week's 6-pack features Polaric Janeway, another Janeway variant we have in the rosters, and a very good one at that. Psydip and Sec, another more uncommon sort of combination, and I believe that's very hang on, I need to check something. I will in a second. But yes, so she comes in the 6-pack this week as, I think you've already rated her tier 3, Voyager number 38. I just want to have a very quick look at something. I'm loading up spreadsheets now to check something. See how excited I am. Look,
you don't have them open at all times? What kind of spreadsheet fan are you?
I'm someone that also has very little memory. Oh, yes, that's right. Yes, so I was correct. She comes straight off being directly better than Kevin Uxbridge, the exact same skill set, side dip sec, and 200 points better Voyager. This soon after Kevin's event is just like, here's this guy, but you could buy this, which is better. So
yeah, this feels like a little bit of a situation of like, you know, we have Polaric Janeway at home, and then like Polaric Janeway at home is Kevin Uxbridge, and it's like that's a bit of a downgrade. Like I don't know if you've been keeping track, but that's 160 voyage ranks, which is not small.
No.
So this is like a bit of an interesting one because I think a lot of people have been asking for this Janeway because like. I think this might be one of the ones that they show on like the Netflix previews, and it's what a lot of people think of when they think of season 1 Voyager is this episode. I remember rewatching this with my partner the other day, and it's a bit of a boring one, really. Especially because it basically ends with the Star Trek equivalent of "It Was All a Dream," because like spoiler alert for a 20-year-old episode, but we basically find this like planet that's like going through that managed to blow itself up through like polaric energy, which is why she's called Polaric Janeway. She's not made out of polaric energy herself. It's just don't worry about it. And she basically has to seal a time portal with a gun, as you do on Star Trek. And then everything is they basically break the timeline, and then Kes is like, oh, I guess there was nothing here after all. Episode ends by in traditional Star Trek fashion. And I don't know. I think people have been asking for this variant because like it's very iconic season 1 Janeway, like with the candy corn shirt and the letting her hair down finally. But I don't know. Like this is like one of the most.
Sorry.
This is one of the most uninspired sort of like skill set choices I can. Even though it's rare, side dip is so common. It is so common. Like you can get this in a slightly different order from Evolved Janeway, let alone like this. And she doesn't come with a price tag of potentially thousands of dilithium. And yeah, she has the voyage bona fides, but like I'm pretty sure that if you look at your side dip roster, even if you haven't been meaning to, you probably have better options like someone like Picard #1 or one of the many billions of options they've done. Socrates, for example, if you were lucky enough to get him, but. Again, dope assault at 6 players. She has some like interesting traits, like temporal agent. I think is always a fun one to throw in there. But she's just a bit vanilla. And she can't even claim to be like a #1 Janeway base. She's #2 Janeway Psi, #4 Janeway Diplomacy. Which Janeway gets tons of events, so she'll be useful for those. But on the flip side, Janeway has a ton of like variants. They all have various different like things they use before. This one is going to slide into the, yeah, they're decent enough. They're fine.
They're here.
They're inoffensive. They are here. They are present.
They've attended. I'm getting a lot from I'm getting a lot of response from chat that actually they say it's the best episode ever. It's a brilliant episode, and you should feel sorry for doubting it.
Honestly, it's like there are good moments in the episode. Like I especially like Paris having to trying to scare that little kid away by telling him that like they're monsters and he's gonna eat them, and then Janeway just looks at him kind of scandalized, and he's like, "What? It worked."
Polaric Paris. There you go.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised it didn't go for him as like a 4-star in the event. Or just
there have been enough Parises lately, definitely.
Yeah,
but then again,
guess what? We'll always have Paris.
We will.
There's a season 1. Oh.
That should have been last week's episode when we were talking about Luau, but we had Ben on. Yeah,
yeah, well, it would have been more interesting. I'm sorry, Ben. If you're here, I love you. I love you dearly.
You're still feeling guilty for the scoundrel comment, aren't you?
I do feel guilty about that. I should feel guilty about that. That was bad. But yeah, like this is like a sort of it's another affection pick. Like I feel like you have like strong. Especially if you like Janeway, like you could do a lot worse variants on her. Like she's certainly more usable than someone like Arachnia or even like Lucille Davenport. But she's just a little bit vanilla. I kind of wish that they had gone a little bit more a little bit like sideways with this, and they had made the art her sealing the time portal with the gun, and then made her Sexai, because Sexai with these voyage metrics would be a really good card.
Definitely.
And I feel like it would have been thematically appropriate. But as it is, we get Candy Corn Janeway sort of like sitting there going, looking a little bit frumpy. But you can't have everything.
You can't. You got your Worf. That's everything to you.
I'm not allowed to ask for anything ever again, am I? Really?
No more suggestions from Stars. No. Yeah, she's a good card. I'm not, I know a few people that may pull for her because she's Janeway. Janeway's are event pieces, no doubt. They will, all, like you say, we'll always have Paris. We'll also always have Janeway. It doesn't quite roll off the tongue the same way, but hey-ho.
I'm sure that's the name of a fan club somewhere. Don't worry about it.
Oh God, no! I went down a very bad rabbit hole of going to a fan fiction site for Star Trek stuff. Don't ask why. I was just clicking away, and yeah, there's. I forward some of the Chakotay ones onto Auto, and we haven't heard from him since. So,
well, please tell me you at least read my Worf fan fiction.
What was your username on that again? Worf and
well,
who?
I can't get that.
There's a lot of. Anyway, we digress. We're coming near to the end of the show.
There's a lot of Worf acting like a Rizian slut. Don't worry. Just like moving swiftly on.
The 32nd paternal grandmother of Sorella. Yeah, that's gonna be for anyone. Yeah, I'm gonna use that in conversation with real people at some point, and they go, what? Not that you're not real.
Let's move on before this is any more of a disaster. Oh God.
Okay, let's do a couple of quick beholds, and we'll move on to next week, where hopefully Walter will be back to save us. Okay, right.
Who would have thought that he was the stabilizing influence? Who would have thought?
He was the linchpin all along that kept us on track. Didn't divert at all. Never went on tangents. Never insulted anyone.
Never.
Never.
Never. I'm giving you time to load up the Suspiria rump.
Yeah. Hang on. No. I'll just do this one.
Shut up, Otto, you moron.
Anyway.
I'll have that one.
That'll do. Okay. Have you got your tricorder?
I don't actually. I put it away.
I haven't got the sound on, so we'll just toggle it here. So right. I would toggle, but my toggle's not working. Let's try that button. No, that's not working either. Why is this not working? I can't stop the behold. Hang on.
We're caught in like a whirlpool of beholds. We'll never escape it. It's nothing but Orion, Venus, and Admiral Cartwrights from here on out.
It will never stop. It will never end. Why is my hotkeys not working? Oh, hang on, right, let's go.
This is the behold that will never end. It goes on and on, my friend.
It's perfect. Keep going. Right, let's try that.
I don't know the rest of the song, that's all I know.
Oh, hang on, my stars are still going as well. Hang on, I need to tweak something else.
It's fine. Epileptics, please look away, I beg you.
We have Quantum Crew here. They're of every variety, but none. Right.
Oh God! Someone cut the brakes on the beholder meter. Oh God!
Hang on! Now I've got it out of sync. All right. Oh bloody hell! Okay, right. Now we'll do this another time. I'll have to fix that some other time. They've got
incredible,
fantastic professionalism. Everything's
damn it!
broken.
You stole it right out of my hands.
On that fantastic ending to the show, I think we'll say goodbye from us. Next week, we'll be on to talk about next week's crew as usual, and maybe, hopefully, there'll be a few more developments. I think we're awaiting an amazing Dabo sale. That's supposed to be a Dabo sale. That's supposed to be coming at some point.
And I believe that they said that the Klingon collection will be dropping on the 20th. That'll be on our air date, so we'll get to talk about like all the benefits there, and like it's almost as if we picked Wednesday perfectly. It's not as if this was originally on the Tuesday. That never happened.
No. There's no timelines Tuesdays that just rolled off the tongue, but realised it was actually a really awkward time and wouldn't cover all the crew. Okay, so yes, we'll be back. There'll be at least, I think, 2 more weeks of shows, and then I think I am potentially moving around early February. I think we're still due to talk and have do some stuff with the new feature with Wicked Realm Games, but we're not quite sure on the timings yet, so keep an eye out for that. At some point as well, we've also got Picard Loves Reds, a frequent write-in. He wants to come on the show, actually wants to come and talk about some sites and stuff and his interactions with the offer wall. That was potentially plugged in for February the 3rd, but hopefully we'll get him on at some point. So watch this space. They'll be a bit flexible with when we're on, but from myself, from Stars, we will hopefully see you next week.